beam to column connection. Beam to column. This will be a column. You have a beam. So here you have a, what type of connection is this? Pin connection using, how to classify this type of pin connection? Pin plate. But this pin plate is extended. Extended in the sense that you have to put this pin plate all the way to the column web. So you put all the way to the column web, then you have a very long pin plate coming out. So you have a long pin plate, then this pin plate will buckle easily. So you have to put in the two plates over here to stiffen this part of the pin plate so that the length of the pin plate is much shorter. So this is an unsupported length of the pin plate. So you look at the green book, their recommendation of what could be the maximum length of the unsupported pin plate. So you have to put in these stiffeners, and then this stiffeners over here is to stabilize this part that goes into the web, column web. This connection, let's start with this one. This connection. Simple or rigid? Simple or rigid? Why rigid? Number one, the flange is welded to the end plate. But does it mean that it's rigid? Imagine if your connection were to bend, okay? Now your beam with the end plate is one. Your beam to the end plate is one body. The bolt's only here, here, here. Okay? So imagine your connection going to bend. Will this part here also bend? Or will the stress in the flange be transmitted to the column? Based on here. So imagine you have to pull this flange out. Will this flange stay in place to transfer the force to the column, or will this flange bend this plate? Bend, right? Because the bolt is only up to here. So imagine you pull this flange, then this plate will bend. So this should not be a rigid connection, even though you weld the flange to the end plate. How about this one? Rigid or pin? Rigid or pin? How many says rigid? How many says pin? More rigid than pin. This supposedly could satisfy as a rigid connection because number one, your end plate is bolted beyond the flanges. That means if this plate will not bend, if let's say you are pulling force, then this bolt and this bolt will hold this plate in place, right? Number two, this plate, the end plate is actually quite long. But you have this plate here which will stiffen this end plate. So even though this part extended out rather long, but you have a stiffener here that stiffens this plate. So I will treat this as a rigid connection. This connection, this member, rigid or pin? Rigid. Rigid, very similar to this. How about this connection? This one. You have actually a plate. There is you have this hollow section with an end plate. So you have a hollow section to the end plate. This end plate is then welded to a fin plate. Your fin plate here only connects at these three bolts. Your flanges will still not able to transmit effectively to the column. So this will be a simple connection. then what are all these bolts here for? What are all those bolts and nuts here for? You only need the fin plate, right? So why do you need all this? It's for the other side. This side over here, you have this beam which is connected like a end plate to this column. One thing about hollow section is why I show this. Hollow sections are harder to connect. Because hollow sections you don't have, for example, you put a bolt here, your bolts can be put in from this side, which is the hidden side. Hollow section is all enclosed. You cannot put your hand inside the hollow section and put the bolts inside here. So what you do is, there are various ways. This one is where you have a long extender bolt that goes through the hollow section. Then you tighten this side, tighten this side. These nuts and bolts which is present here is not to connect anything here, but is to anchor it so that you can connect the bolts on the other side. So hollow sections harder to connect. Open sections much easier. And this one you should know very well. Where is this? Workshop, right? So this is one example of a steel corbel, and another example of a steel corbel which is used. You can see this for some of those train tracks, light train tracks. And another one over here. This is most likely for also a factory. So you have a beam that sits on this corbel. This corbel is then welded. You find that most of these corbel are welded to the column flange. Same thing as a workshop. In a class example, I also shown you as a case where your corbel is not welded to a column flange in this manner, but it's bolted by the two plates. And you put the bolts. In example, the one where we have the connection which is subject to torsion. So go and look at your class example. We have various ways of connecting the corbel to the column. And what are these? Splices. And what are splices? To connect shorter members to form a longer members in general. So, but you also use a splice. For example, this column, you want to extend the column from this level upwards, then you put splices. So, what splice can you identify over here? What splice can you identify over here? You have a splice for the, what is this? Flanges. You also have a splice for the web. So you have two flange splice, one web splice. As I mentioned in class, assuming that let's say this column takes a axial load and bending moment, for example, major axis bending moment, then your flange splice will be taking what forces? If this column has bending moment, major axis bending moment, and axial load, or bending moment, where do you distribute this force to? To the flange splice. Axial load, axial load to which splice? Both the web and the flange. If you have a shear force along the web direction, then you'll be resisted by the web. If this is a bracing member, you have your flange splice, web splice. If you're a brace member, what are the forces you expect for the brace? Predominantly axial load. So your web splice will be subject to axial, flange splice subject to axial. So you have to distribute. So how to distribute the axial force to the flange and the web? Based on what? How do you distribute the axial force to the web splice and flange splice. Based on cross-sectional area. So look at the cross-sectional area of the flange and the web, then you can distribute the axial load to the web and the flange. Here you have I call a beam member because there's a bending moment over here. So predominantly, what type of forces you have for a beam? Bending moment and shear. Flange, splice, single or double shear for the bolts. Double. Web splice.
Double.
Single or double? Cannot see, correct? So cannot tell. You must know whether the other side there's a web plates or not. If there's no web plates on the other hidden side, then it will be a single. If there's one more web plate on the other side, then it will be double. But in this case, do you think you need a single web cover plate or double web cover plate based on what you normally would expect for the shear and for the shear force? Normally single will do. But for the flanges, which I described in I think in the email or in the class, your flanges normally the force are much larger. You use a single shear for the flange bolts, then you find you may end up much more bolts needed. So you need more bolts, then your connection also will become longer. So here you use a double cover plates, then your flange bolts will be subject to double shear. So these bolts in the flanges, what are the forces you expect? In terms of the bolt, what are the forces on the bolt? Shear. Any others? Equal, non-equal shear? Equal or non-equal shear? Equal shear, right? So you look at the flange plate, it will look something like this. So you have one plate, another plate. So these are the two flanges from the bottom view, and you will have one side of the cover plates. You have the bolts, and this connection, let's say a bottom flange, pulling it, bottom flange in tension. So these bolts will be going into here. You have a pulling force cutting across the bolts to shear it. So each of these bolts will be subject to shear. How do you find out whether it is uniform shear or non-uniform shear? Find the centroid. So where's the centroid of this bolt group? At the center. So you treat each of these, because this one you can actually cut it into half. The shear forces are in two opposite directions. So this bolt group, central over here. So you'll pass through the line of action of the force. How do you identify the line of action of this force? How do you know where does this line fall under? You follow the centroid of this flange plate. The force will be aligned to the member that is applying the force. The flange force comes from the flange plate, so you will look at the flange plate. The centroid of the flange plate is over here, so I draw a force along the centroid of the flange plate. Then here is the centroid of the bolt group. So these two may have different location. This is based on the centroid of the member, in this case the flange plate. This is based on the centroid of the bolt group. If they are aligned, then you have no eccentricity. How about the web? Bolts subject to back to what? You all don't seem very confident. Shear force and anything else. If it's tension, that means there's something pulling the post in this direction. You have something pulling the post in this direction. Okay, right? Equal, non-equal shear. Equal or non-equal shear for the web bolts. Equal or not equal? How many say equal? Oh, good. I like very big. Non-equal. Do you put left or right hand? Equal, not equal. Let's just draw the web cover, web plates. Here, this plate that I draw is not the whole beam, only the web. So you have two web, right? These two webs are connected by the flange, web plates, and you have the bolts. So where do we assume the force to be? Normally, for simplicity in design, we will assume that, so these two will transfer a shear force, right? Web transfer shear force. So normally we will assume that this shear force, in this case, we will assume that it transferred over here, along this line in the middle, right? At this point, zero moment, only shear force. So I draw a shear force, I don't draw any moment. So it only transfer shear. So if the shear is applied here, the forces, shear force in the bolts will be equal or not equal? Why not equal? Where is the centroid of the bolt group? On the right and the left. So each of these shear, you can look at it. You can treat this separate from the other one, both are the same. If you treat one of them, you have a shear force. Let me call this shear force, let's say B. Centroid of the bolt group will be here. From this point onwards will be exactly the same as your class tutorial, right? A class example. You all should know how to do, right? What do you do next? Move the shear to the centroid. And then you find that the bolts have non-equal shear. Here an example of a beam to wall connection. So this beam to wall connection, simple or rigid connection. The beam plate looks very rigidly connected to the wall. Simple or rigid connection. Simple because the flanges of the beam are not connected to transfer the forces. So how do you install this fin plate in the wall? How to cast it? Just put one plate, put inside, and then pour concrete. Or how? Oh, good. I heard rebar. How? What do you do with rebar? Weld the plate to rebar, or what? The rebar may not pass that position, and normally you will not want your rebar to pass that position. Otherwise, the plate may be quite hard to go through. Can we just slot in a plate inside, and then cast the concrete around it? Cannot, right? You do it, then the anchorage of the plate will be basically just based on the bonding strength between the steel plate and the concrete, which is not high. So you must find a way to anchor this plate into the concrete wall. There are various ways, I don't expect you all to know, but just to let you know, you can put in, for example, like an anchorage over here. So a better one, normally you will find like a J hook, which will encourage it. Because the J hook, we just hook it inside. So here you have also a J hook. Or you can also have a fin plate with shear studs on the surface. Once you have shear studs, so your shear stud is like a, so imagine this is a fin plate that goes into a concrete cross-sectional view. You have a shear stud, then these are the shear studs. Then these shear studs will be embedded in the concrete, which provides better gripping between the shear studs and the concrete, so you won't be pulled out that easily. You can actually design for the number of shear studs, the size of the shear studs. So it's just not simply one plate that put it inside. You do it that way, then it's only the bond strength between steel and concrete that is resisting, which is low. How about this one? How do you connect this? What do you call this? Good. Oh, you know bollard.
Bollard.
Very strong this bollard. So how do you connect and anchor this bollard?
Okay, means no strong. Bollard.
Tie back to where? Oh. You tie back, you go tie something here, then people will keep on tripping. Your PMD also cannot walk, pedestrian also cannot walk. How do you anchor this one? Earlier, how to anchor the fin plate to the wall? Shear studs. What else? Just like I mentioned, one is shear studs, the other one is J hook. Which one is better? J hook, right? So you can see over here, you have all these. You have actually a plate over here. This plate will be made of concrete. Your concrete will definitely, if it's concrete, these boards will definitely punch through the concrete. It's only about this thick. You have concrete this thick, you have a board, you will definitely punch through the whole concrete. So this is made in steel, and then here you can see the J hook, and quite a number of J hooks over here. So you put the J hook inside, then you pour the concrete, then what you see is only the surface of this cylindrical surface. All these nuts are not exposed. If you are exposed, then you expose it is still okay, but you expose it then becomes a hazard because you may trip over it. That's why all these are cast below the surface. The nuts are all below it. How about this one? Did he show this? He showed this, that? Not all of you have gone to that lecture. Simple or rigid connection? Rigid connection. Number one, you stiffen up. What are all these for? These stiffeners for? To stiffen between which member? This stiffeners is to stiffen between which two elements? The plate and the column. Plate and the column, you want to stiffen it. You don't put a stiffener, it can bend. Especially the plate can bend quite easily. So imagine you pull it out, this plate will bend. Even though you have a bolt here, this plate will bend. The bolt will pull it back, but this column will be pulling out, so this plate will bend. So you put a stiffener, then you stiffen the angle between the member and the plates. Then you have all these bolts in between. So you have a lot of bolts. Between any two stiffener, you have a bolt to hold it. So earlier on, you have seen the bollard. So here, what do you expect below it? J hook. You put J hook under this, right? What is this thing over here? Soil, right? Then definitely the J hook will pull out the soil. So what do you expect below it? It definitely will still have to be concrete. It can't be a soil. If you do a soil, then you must have a very deep anchorage. Right? Just like retaining wall, you have an anchorage into the soil. anchorage into the soil, then it will be very costly. So before I show, so this is during construction. Where is this place? Gardens by the Bay. Which dome? Maybe an exam question. Which dome? So you look below it. Then you can see this monster inside.
Oh. What the heck?
Number one is not a J hook. Your J hook won't be able to take the force. A typical J hook won't be able to take the force. You will have a reinforced, heavily
How much steel
reinforced.
do you use here?
And you'll find that for connection, it's always whether it's steel connection or concrete
Quite
connection.
disgusting.
The more massive your structure, the harder it is to fabricate and construct your connection.
Who designed?
Here, what will be the issue with this connection? Pouring concrete will not be easy because the gap between the rebar is small. On top of that, even before you reach that stage of pouring the concrete, you can go to the stage of pouring the concrete, you'll be very happy already. All happy, pour concrete. Before that,
Oh, wow.
design also, but design I think still okay. It's only a mental stress. On site, you have to go and bend all the rebar. There are so many. You have to place them, and you have to go and tie the rebar together. You see all these ties here. Imagine all these ties here. These ties will also go inside, so you have to think of sequence to tie them. There are a lot of ties. You don't tie the rebars together, then this horizontal one will not. What are all these horizontal one for? Here you have this rebar that goes vertically down, but you have all these horizontal one, right? So I call this horizontal. These are the purpose of all these horizontal ones are for. It's shear, but more importantly is to provide confinement to your concrete. Larger the confinement, larger is the shear force. No confinement, once your concrete crack, then your crack will open up. So you must confine it. So you have all these horizontal rebar. Normally you use stirrups which are smaller, but this case is a huge monster. So your horizontal rebar are much bigger. Lectures also mentioned a few times about buildable, non-buildable connection. So I thought today probably I use this opportunity to illustrate. Here you have one set of connection. Our group this as one set, this and this as one set, this and this as one set, because this is what type of connection do we use over here? Among the simple connection, this is called a fin plate. This is also a fin plate, but it's extended. How about these two connections? PDP, the partial depth end plate. So this is the end plate connection. So these and these are end plate, these and these are fin plate. So which one will you prefer between the fin plate? One or two? One. One or two? Let me just call it. Non-buildable versus buildable. Which one is more buildable? One or two? Why two is more buildable? Number one, you don't have to cut the notch. Number two, between the two beams, right? Which beam do they have the same length for the two beams? This beam, the secondary beam, are they the same length? Which one is shorter? This one is shorter. Huh? This beam, you cut it shorter. So imagine you have a primary beam over here running this way. Your secondary beam now is shorter, and this secondary beam is within the clearance. So you can put this secondary beam, hoist it down, and put it between the two beams. So I can easily just put it down between the two beams and connect. This case, your beam is beyond the clearance. The clearance between the primary beam is from here to the other side of the flange. So when you lower it down, this bottom flange will be obstructed by the primary beam, right? So when you hoist it down, you must go down, then slant it, put it in there, slant it back, then you connect. Okay? Same thing for this and this. Which one is better? 1 or 2 in terms of build safety? 2. So knowing that 2 is better in terms of easier to build, but most of our connection or even in the green book published by SCI, they always go for this and this. What's the issue with the more buildable ones? You what? What's the issue with the more buildable ones? Expensive, normally it will be cheaper. Because you avoid the notching process, which is good because notching process, you actually have to cut it, you still have to grind it. So you have to measure the profile, cut it, grind it, a lot of work. Straight cutting normally easier, just cut a straight surface. This and this, you'll find that if the two moments over here are not the same, what will happen? If the two moments are not the same, you will have, let's say this is V1, this is V2. V1 will multiply by a larger moment arm to transfer to the primary beam. V2 will be a smaller value rather than moment arm. So if these two shear force are not the same, you will have a net moment. What do you call this moment on this beam? A torsion on the beam. So when you have torsion on the beam, what do you need to do? Go back to your code and you'll find there's one beams in torsion. So you have to design for the beams in torsion. So as I mentioned earlier on, engineers are always quite lazy. So anything that is have to go and read up, they try not to. So this one is easy, no torsion. What's the eccentricity? What's the eccentricity? Very small. Huh? In this case, what eccentricity do you have? 0. In this case, your eccentricity is from here to here. So when your two moments are not the same, then you have to account for the torsion. But if you do so, it makes the construction much more buildable on site, which is important because the manpower cost is expensive. So you can do that. You'll find that the moment will not be equal, definitely for the perimeter beams. Your perimeter beams, if this is the wall of the structure sitting on the beam, you don't have any beam over here. So your moment, your shear is only on one side, definitely you will have a torsion. So perimeter beams, you have to be careful. Internal beams, maybe the moments will tend to cancel out to a certain extent. You may still have some small torsion. We have seen something like this before, bracing members. And then, what are these for? This stiffener is to resist which force? This stiffener is to resist what force? You must know very well what are the stiffener for. If I ask you, design for this stiffener, then what do you design? What force do you use? Bracing. Which bracing member? This one. So you use the whole bracing member, or how do you identify the force of this stiffener? You'll find the vertical component of the whole bracing member of the flange. So take this. Are you able to calculate the flange force? By now, if I give a member, ask you what are the forces in the web, in the flange, you must be able to calculate, because I've gone through it many times already. What are the web for, what are the flange for. So given any force in the member, you must be able to calculate the flange forces, web forces. You know this flange force take the vertical component, that will be the force acting on this stiffener. All clear? The other point I want to highlight is that when you design this structure or you analyze this structure in your software, you will draw a member that comes in. So you may have something like that. This member coming in, this member coming out. I draw another case to further illustrate my point. So you may have members that is this way. In, out. And comes in and out, assuming let's say this is F, this is F, then any force, bracing force, vertical bracing force transferred to the member, the horizontal member. So you have a force coming in F, a force going out F, any vertical force applied to this member. So would you expect this shear force to change? No, right? So if one goes in, one goes out, the shear force on this horizontal member will not change. But when you look at the actual connection, ignore this middle one. You look at this coming in, coming out, okay? In your actual connection, your structure which is not a line member, you'll find that this force, when it comes in here, at this point, does this force transfer to this member? So you have to be aware that when you design for connection, you have to again follow the load path. Your force, when it comes to here, at this point, is going to stay in the beam as a shear force until it goes to which location? This location, it transfers back to the other one, then this shear force disappears. So the shear force will, the axle will come down, become a shear force over this duration, and then goes out over here. All follow me? So you don't, in your software analysis, you don't see that. Your software, you will think that this will come in as a single point, leave immediately. So this force will come in, leave immediately. In a real structure, it's not a line element because of the actual dimension. You'll find that the force will not leave immediately. The force will come in from this brace. It does not connect to this member immediately because it is spaced apart. So this force will stay in this region until it starts to leave. So do take note how the load path is when you look at connection. Your analysis, which is based on line model, will not give you the full picture of the forces in the connection. So connection design, normally you will need to take out the forces from the software, look at the connection and design for the load path inside here, check for all the failures. That's why connection is normally more complicated. So what is this connection for? What do you call this? A splice. Normally for this member, top and bottom, they are continuous, and this type of splicing we call it this member is normally carrying axial load and also some bending moment. So that's why you have the flange and the web splice. The web splice, what you normally see is small, but do take note, you can have a web cover plate which have more than 100 bolts. In plate girders, we normally say plate girders are very long span structures, right? Plate girders, you will expect to have splicing. So you end up with a lot of bolts in both the web and also the flange. So normally I show you are those very small ones. What are these? Are these bolts? Shear starts for the concrete. You're going to cast a concrete topping on top. So the bolts are these over here. Lots of them. And again, easily more than 100. One more example over here. You find this beam, and then this beam, somehow you find that this beam is not uniform throughout. What do you see over here? Smaller flange. Why do we want to use a smaller flange over here? What to pass to? Pipeline.
You got pipeline every beam. Good suggestion, but not for pipeline. Why do you want to make it smaller over here? I qualify, this is not a structure in Singapore. This is a structure which I took a photograph in Taiwan. It's an earthquake zone. So why do you need this? If you have an earthquake zone, then you will see in the earlier videos I showed in the previous tutorials, your structure will deflect a lot, and those weaker points will form hinges, right? Plastic hinge. So your earthquake, normally you design a structure for heavy earthquake. You don't design such that there is no damage. You design for no damage, then your structure will be very massive, very expensive. So you're designed for a structure to suffer from damage, but no collapse. Right? You suffer from damage, but no collapse, so that you can allow for safe evacuation of people when it's subject to very heavy earthquake. Then you can come in later on to retrofit. So no collapse, so you can retrofit. So when you allow for damage, then the damage can happen anywhere. It can happen anywhere. Imagine your damage were to happen in the column, then what happen? Your column start to fail, then you will affect how many stories? Every stories above it. If this beam fail, how many stories will be affected? One, the only one. So normally we want to design for strong column, weak beams, so that if you were to suffer damage, where would you want the damage to be? In the beam. And in the beam also you have different places where you can suffer damage. So normally you can design for the beam to have plastic hinge over here, not at the midspan. How do you ensure plastic hinge will form here? You make the flange to be smaller. So definitely when this structure starts to deform, the damage will form in the hinges over here first. So this member, this steel beam must be designed in class. Somebody say 4, is it?
That's one.
I foresee I'll see you next semester.
Oh.
Class what? Class 1. Class 2 cannot. Class 2 got plastic moment capacity, cannot. Why not? You don't allow for sufficient plastic rotation for class 2. So for seismic zone, you will design for plastic hinge. Plastic hinge means that it will achieve plastic moment capacity. And what does a hinge mean? Allow what? Rotation. So you must allow for rotation. So it must be class 1, cannot be class 2. Then in the same year when I was in Taiwan, then I went to take the gondola. So the gondola is about 30 minutes ride for about $2. So you go up the mountain and then you'll see this connection over here. Main focus is not the see-through glass, okay? So you have these pylons which will hold the cables. So these pylons over here is like your columns. You see the same stuff connection. You go to those. You look at stadiums and SRC, the sports over there. There are those stadiums lights. Those stadium lights, the columns, the lamp posts will be connected to the foundation using very similar connection. So this is simple or rigid? Rigid. Why not simple? Huh? Because you're what? Sorry? Louder. Oh, because it supports a gondola. Because this is a cantilever structure. So you cannot have a simple connection, the first thing. Right? So if this is a simple connection, then definitely it will topple. So you must provide the stiffener, the bolts. And as I go up, then I start to see another one, bigger one. This one is smaller because it's within a station. So you have many of these This one is between different posts. So each of these posts are a huge one to connect a long cable length. So what do you notice over here? A lot of bolts, and what are all these marking over here? To check whether the bolts turn. Why do you want to check whether the bolts turn? The hinge is still the same. Just like I mentioned, it was in Taiwan and it's a seismic area. So what does earthquake got to do with this marking? You are what? This is definitely, what type of bolts do you need for this? Must be preloaded, huh?
Must be preloaded.
This more technical.
It's just like,
Preloaded, why is it that you have to go for preloaded?
I think someone says.
Even without earthquake, you have to use a preloaded. Why? There are a lot of, it's a slender structure. So slender structures prone to, sensitive to deflection. And number two, you have a lot of vibration. Remember we mentioned, these bolts over here will be subject to what type of forces? Imagine I just put two pieces, it's going to vibrate. So what type of forces on this bolt between the two members? Shear and also tension. When you have a lot of vibration, you have a cyclic load on the tension bolts. What will happen? You have fatigue. So how do you reduce the effect of fatigue loading? Preloading of the bolts. So preload. When I mentioned in preloading, right, you will do one way to preload is nuts and the head of the bolts and the end of the bolts. You do a marking here, then you start to tighten it up to a certain angle, right? But here, they are all aligned. So these markings, are they for preloading? If you're preloading, that means they are not preloaded. So what are these for? Check whether the bolts come out. Why do you need to check whether the bolts come out? You have a seismic zone, what will happen? Number one, you have by itself a lot of vibration, you will loosen. In a seismic area of the earthquake, it's something with large deflection and vibration, you will also loosen. So how do you check whether the bolt have loosened? You are not going to go there with your top wrench, right? Go and test 100 bolts for every pylons and you have to climb all the way up here and then go and test every bolts and nut whether they are tightened. One easy way is just to make marking. So you look at marking, you mark it. If after earthquake event or after let's say 1 year for servicing, then you start to see the bolts and nuts have displaced, that means they have loosened. Then you have to go and tighten it. Last one over here, this is the, or maybe Disney US. This connection over here. Splicing of the columns. So all these bolts over here, preloaded or non-preloaded, must be preloaded. So these main members preloaded. How about all these members which are not the main members? Bracing. Preloaded or non-preloaded for those bracing members? Why preloaded? For vibration, and normally your bracing in your structure is to provide stiffness, right? You want it to be the stiffest part or stiffest member in your structure. So if your connection here is not preloaded, it allows for slip, then you have your bracing member even more flexible than your main members. Then your design concept is wrong. So your bracing members must be stiff, make sure you preload it so that this joint here is very tight. And the very last one thing to take note, your connection will affect your load path. And I'll use this classical example, which is the Hyatt Regency Hotel at Kansas City. So the original design, you have this original design. So I'll show you how it looks like. So it's actually, you have a tension member, a rod coming down, and then you have this platform which sits on the rod. How it sits on the rod, you put a nut over here. So put 2 nuts, then this platform can sit on the nuts at 2 levels. All able to visualize? So this is the original design. Then, so this is how it looks like. You have this beam that sits on the nuts, and your platform can sit on the beam. So you have it at 1 level and then another level. But to do this, to construct this, it is not so effective because you will have to first move this beam in there, then you have to go and tighten these nuts from here all the way to here. And it's not only 3 cm here, this is 2 story, so you have to go and tighten about how many meters? At least 6 meters, right? So 6 meters, and this was 6 meters for one boat, 6 meters for one boat, and you have a few boats over here. So easier way is to I cut it. Okay? So the contractor said I'm going to cut it over here. Instead of one long boat, I cut it. Then I can just tighten this boat for a shorter length. I suspend this. I'll suspend the bottom 2nd floor to rest on the 4th floor. So I have another boat over here. Another boat over here. Different from original design. Same or not? These two. Why not the same? Oh, good. Your eyesight identified. There's a shear over here. Okay. So in this beam, there's a shear over here. On top of that, not really eccentric because it's symmetrical. Moment wise, you have additional moment. Okay. You have to account for that. But in the end, the failure is at this boat. Why this boat fail is that you look at this boat over here. Here, right, this boat and this boat, the 2 boats take how many floor load? 1 floor. This one boat take how many floor load? 1 floor. Over here, this boat takes how many floor load? 1 floor. This boat and this boat take how many floor load? 2 floor, because this floor plus this floor also hanging another floor, so 2 floor load. But the design was not changed. The design, the nut was based on this nut. So you have a nut that is only designed for 1 floor load. So in the end, who's what? Contractor or consultant?
Contractor.
Why consultant? Then nobody want to become consultant after graduate. Who's what? Why consultant? Never check. Anyone think it's contractor fault? Anyone say it's contractor fault? You're very mean to consultant, huh? It depends. If this change in design has been highlighted to the consultant, and consultant perform the check and say that it's safe, then it's a consultant fault. But when you go, most of you those who are year 3, you go to IA next semester, there are some things that the contractor don't tell the consultant, and they perform the change, then whose fault is it? Without the consultant knowing. Still consultant wow, PEA is very low and you'll make it even worse. Contractor fault. If we hide from any change in design, you have to tell the consultant. And there are many cases where the consultant find out about changes not because the contractor tell them, but they find out themselves. So be more careful when if you are a consultant which is assigned to a project, actual project. So you can see over here, this rod snap through this and this. So this beam by this connection, right, which includes the hole over here, the bearing force of this hole is not sufficient. Because this boat takes 2 times the load, the bearing on the hole is also 2 times. So it actually will pull through the 4th floor beams. That's all.